Good morning, Rabbi Isai. Lilu Nishmas Imi Merosi Rusbas Mordechai. Today, no sponsors. Only one thing. It's a tremendous achievement, and this is not to toot my own horn. This is a partnership. Torah's horn. 450 straight days for a person who's not known for consistency, and it's a partnership. Without every one of you, without the people behind the scenes, Gary, Noam, Avi, Yosef, Yeshua Ehrenpreis, who's in Chicago now, the Seltzer boys up there in the booth. Who else? Who am I missing? You guys. But no, every email, I was going to read this amazing email, but I hear that Michael Cohen is on. Is Michael Cohen on Zoom? Does anybody see him? If he is, I'm going to read the email about his father. You see him? Eli Dykman, you see him? Anybody see him? He's on Zoom. All right. Before we get to the email, I just want to show you this. A picture. Here's a picture of Mordechai Ness listening to the daf in the car on the way to the country for a family ski trip. Not only is he listening, looks like he's a shtickle watching. He put it right, I don't know, you tell me. But in New York, they know how to drive, so it's Pshat. This kind of thing's okay? Huh? I'm not talking about people that drive like you. People that drive like me and Mordechai Ness could do that. Rabbi Isai, here's the mishpacha. Let me explain to you what's going on here. Last night, the CEO's sister got married in Lakewood, and when the CEO's sister gets married, people from all over New York come to participate in the simcha. But this picture, there's a bunch of pictures, this picture sums it up. I'll explain. You have here from every type of Yiddishkeit, basically. You have here the super frum guy with the closed button, with the ties a shtickle down, doesn't really match over here on top. This is Rabbi Bergman himself, this Choshev Rav. Right? Not a Rav, he's Choshev guy. Here you have Yisroel Goldstein with the Bieber hit, a Chassid. Here you have Mordechai Ashkenazi, yeshiva guy, / I'm not interested in wearing my hat. Next to him, you have Uncle Phil with the Kippas Ruga. Next to him, CEO, okay. Over here you have Yehuda Shuk, clean-shaven guy with a black hat. And then you have here the in-between guy, the black hat with the smaller beard. He's not in this madrega, but he's not over here. He doesn't have the white beard with the tie down. So you have everybody. This is ganze mishpacha. This is what it's all about. MDY. So kol hakavod for everybody. Let me read this email real quickly. This will do tshuva for me, not really fully understanding who we were saying Tehillim for. Let's see. It's a very long one. Okay, we don't have a lot of time. Rebbe, I want to say, I stay in the background and let my good friend Shlomi Klein from Crown Heights have the spotlight. I feel compelled to email. This is from Avi Freilich. I don't even know if you know Shlomi Klein, but he says he's good friends with him. I feel compelled to email you for the following reason. You've mentioned Michael Cohen many times in the last year without me thinking that it could be my close chaver, Michael Cohen from Englewood, New Jersey. When that was sponsored by Michael Cohen for his father's Refuah Shelayma, I saw the name and began. I knew his father's full name, so I decided to reach out to him last Tuesday. Bekitzer, I then learned this past Master Shabbos that my friend Michael Cohen lost his father, Yankel Cohen, last Tuesday, and I knew right away it was indeed my friend, Michael Cohen. So first of all, I want to be Menachem Oval, and me too, I did leave a message I couldn't get through. It's a tremendous loss that they sustained, a tremendous loss to Klall Yisrael suffered as well. Secondly, I feel compelled to tell a story about Rabbi Cohen, who's Mashgiach Ruchni of the famous Telze Yeshiva in Cleveland, Ohio for decades. Didn't know. Michael Azanov. He spoke about Mayanova. He stuck me a bunch of times, but he's on it. He didn't say, oh, my father, the famous. Rabbi Cohen did not grow up from and did not go to Yeshiva for elementary school. When it came to high school, his father wanted more for his son, decided to send his son to Telz. In his first year in the school, he came home for winter break and told his parents he was not going back. It was not for him. He was a fish out of the water and was out of his element. One night during the break, he walked by his parents' room. And he heard his father crying. about the fact that his son didn't want to go back to yeshiva. He heard those cries and internalized them, and on the spot resolved himself to return to Telz. He not only returned, but never left. He became a holy tzaddik, a tremendous Talmid Chacham, known to all the Cholei Yisrael. It's mamish emotional. I cry as I write the stories. I remember how much it moved me when Michael told it to me 20 years ago, and how it still moves me today. The Eibshter loves when we cry out for him and our children. Those fathers' tears produced a huge life of Klall Yisrael. The father's tears that night produced a huge life of Klall Yisrael. We all be zayich to have the Eibshter listen to our cries and ensure that all our precious children end up on the derech of Torah mitzvahs. Amen. Michael, my dear friend, may your and your family be comforted and suffer no more pain. May your father's neshama have the highest aliyah and be a melitz yoisha for your family and all of Klall Yisrael. Sincerely, Avi Freud. Beautiful. Unbelievable. I know, but we're at 7:22. Thanks, Judah. Next time you say the share, you'll do it the way you want it, but I got to go. We got to give share. Thanks. Pretty good. I do want to say one thing. Michael, this is a message to Michael. For your father's neshama's aliyah's neshama, you should take upon yourself to learn the daf and never, never miss a day this year. It will be a zchus for you, your mishpacha, for your father's neshama. May the neshama have an aliyah. Rabbi Isai, we are holding 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 lines from the bottom. Even though we did it, it's kedai to say it again. Just chazara, it's Erev Shabbos. And a quick riddle. You hear Judah? Quick riddle. What individual, they perform a bris milah on him and he becomes tameh? And if you know the answer to that, for how many days? Okay, we'll see it in the sugya later, Be'ezer Hashem. Says the Gemara. Rav Yosef b'yoyma da'atzarta on Shvuos Omar Abdili Egla Tilta. That's always in the Gemara the best type of meat. Third born calf. Omar Eloi hayoyim lekogarim kama Yosef ika b'shuka. If not for this unbelievable day of Shvuos of Matan Torah, I would be just another person. I was zoicha to learn Torah and become Rav Yosef. Rav Sheishes, Kol Tlosin Yoimim Mahadele Tamuda. We're learning this because we're going to get into some Pesachim Sugya soon. So this is the Geshmak part. I mean, that is even more Geshmaker, but some of you are not on the level yet. Rav Sheishes Kol Tlosin Yoimim Mahadele Tamude. Every 30 days he would repeat his entire learning. V'tali v'kai b'ivr dedasha. He would stand by the doorway where they had the hinges, and he would say, Chadoi Nafshi. Did anybody come up with the nigging yet? Chadoi Nafshi, twice. My neshama is so happy. I saw somebody says, I forgot again, Marshal, Ben Yayada, one is for Olam Hazeh, and one is Olam Haba. Loch Karoi, Loch Tanoi. It's for you, for me, myself. I'm reading, I'm learning this Torah, I'm repeating the Torah. So, the Ben Yayada says here a beautiful thing. He says, why under the door? What are the hinges? He says a door is extremely, extremely heavy, especially in those days. Imagine those heavy wooden doors. There's two hinges, one on the top, one on the bottom. One represents the seichel, one represents the heart. And when you have those two things going for you, you make that determination that you're going to learn, you're going to get into it. Then it becomes easy like a door, it's on a hinge. So I saw in Gilui Eliyahu, the kasha, unbelievable kasha. But today, doors have 3 hinges. Oh, how do you answer such a kasha? The answer is, the third hinge is MDY. Very good, very good. Zog the Gemara. So when you have those 3 things, your seichel, the heart, and you have a place to go to learn Torah, and you're into it, Hakol Beseder. Zog the Gemara. What does it have to do with Rav Sheishes? The Torah, he's saying, I learned Torah, so it's so good for me. Torah is for the Shemayim V'aretz. Without people learning, it's known that if there's not a person learning, at that moment the world will be destroyed. At every given moment there's somebody learning in some place in the world. It's unbelievable. When you read the pasuk, you'd say, Im loy berisi yoyman v'layla. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't create day and night, it means day and night. No. Day and night means v'gisa b'yoyim v'layla. It's referring to the Torah. That's day and night. What's day and night? The sun, the moon? No. Torah that you learn in the day and the night. Chukah shemayim v'aretz lisamti. Says the Gemara, okay. Mikara ki ovid inish adat nafshi kovid. To start out with, you do it for yourself, your own purposes, but at the end of the day, what happens is, it holds up the world. The world wouldn't exist without it. Okay, so now we're going back into Pesachim a little bit. If we want, we could turn to Daf Amud Beis. And we had a big Mishnah over there, and over there, we're talking about Machshirei Mitzvah. Things to prepare for a mitzvah. It's not the mitzvah itself. Not the mitzvah of the shechita of the Korban Pesach, but removing the wart, carrying the animal to Beis Hamikdash. And the Mishnah says, Reb Lezer holds, you push off Shabbos for it, and he brings a kavachomer. Ma shechita, she mishum malacha deiches Shabbos. If you could do a d'oraisa, certainly you could do a d'rabbanan. Amalei Yeshua, Yontav Yechiach. I'll prove to you from Yontav that you could do a d'oraisa, but you cannot do a d'rabbanan or shvus. And then Reb Lezer said a beautiful lashon. We haven't seen it. Mazel Yeshua. What are you talking about? Yontav is rishos. It's just to eat, to fresh. That's not a mitzvah. Korban Pesach is a mitzvah, so maybe you could push off a d'rabbanan. And yesterday we had, what does Rabbi Yeshua hold? It's not fressing. Eating on Yontav is the mitzvah of Yontav, or at least half of the mitzvah of Yontav. Omar Avashi, well, the Mai, the Kamar Rabbi Lezer, Nami, Yontav Rishos. Even if you go with that svara, that Yontav, eating on Yontav is nothing, it's not a mitzvah, it's just Rishos, Islay Pircha. Rabbi Yeshua would still be correct. He has a Pircha. Or at least he has a pircha. If on Yontif we allow, okay, I'll go with you. I will roll with you. Eating on Yontif is not a mitzvah. But the Torah allows you to shecht an animal on Yontif for a non-mitzvah. So here goes the Kavachimer. If I could do a Issa D'Oraisa for eating, nothing to do with the mitzvah, certainly you should allow a d'rabbanan, a shvus, top of Samach Tes Amud Aleph. Rebbe Lezer shvus the mitzvah adiflei. Not true. Says Rebbe Lezer, you can bring me any kavachim you want in the world. By the way, Reb Chaim Snow is here, a big course of type. He came in. He's a very famous videographer. Is that how you say it? Videographer. He's done the Siyum Hashas for Agudas Yisroel here in Yisroel, all the video and everything, and he's done work for us in the past. So, shkoyach. Anybody who wants some good work, Reb Chaim Snow, and of course, Menachem Shloss is not watching this year. Okay. Rebbe Lezer, Shvos, the mitzvah adaflei. Says Rebbe Lezer, what are you talking about? You could bring me all these kavachimers from this and from that, from the other. At the end of the day, when I'm doing a mitzvah, I'm performing a mitzvah of Korban Pesach, you can push off anything. I can do any Yisroel. Tanya, Omer Rebbe Lezer, Umali, Imdochu Machshir Mitzvah Shalachar Shchitas Shabbos. So now the Gemara goes into a little bit more. Umali, Imdochu Machshir Mitzvah, all these, what's Machshir Mitzvah? Things that are not the mitzvah itself, carrying the animal to Beis Hamikdash, removing the wart, preparing it for the Shechita. If I'm allowed to do that, after the Shechita is what? Taking it. We saw yesterday the picture. Removing the waste from the intestines. What's that? That's Machshir Mitzvah. Put it on the Mizbeach. You're allowed to put it on the Mizbeach. Shabbos, this Avli Mitzvah. Lo Yidchu Machshir Mitzvah, Shalafnei Shechita Shabbos. If the mitzvah was already done, it's already finished. You hear the chap here? But the Gemara says it's a fuch al fuch. But what's the chap? If the mitzvah is done, did the shechita, the cut. Now it's over. So who says you're allowed to be Mechal Shabbos now? You already did the mitzvah. The whole point is to get to that mitzvah. Okay, you already got to the mitzvah. So now you're allowed to go and start scraping and puncturing holes and bringing it on the Mizbeach, being makdir it, putting in a fire on Shabbos. Why? Wait until Motzei Shabbos. So So certainly he said, to get to the mitzvah, I should certainly be able to push off Shabbos. Rebbe Akiva. Who's Rebbe Akiva? Until now, it was Rebbe Eliezer and Rebbe Yeshua. They're contemporaries. They were friends. They always argued with each other. Rebbe Akiva is a Talmud of Rebbe Eliezer. Why am I saying this? You're going to see the Lashon now. One of the most unbelievable Lashonos in the entire Shas. Rebbe Akiva, the Mali, who cares? It doesn't make sense what you're saying, Rebbe. It makes a lot more sense. Once I break the law, once I already did shchita, so go weiter. But to go weiter before I did the mitzvah, that doesn't work. In other words, I already had a heter, I already did shchita, so I allow you to do a couple of other isuri d'Rabbanan. I already did it. But who says I allow you to do isuri d'Rabbanan in order to get to that place? I didn't break anything yet. Another Sfar Rebbe Akiva tells Rebbe Eliezer, Shema, you must have a puzzle. What if they open up the animal, they see that it's puzzle? So it turns out they did all these Isurim for no reason. What do you mean? So anytime, don't do shchita. You're not allowed to ever do a shchita on Shabbos, because maybe you'll find out that the animal that you shechted was puzzle, and it came out that you mechal Shabbos for no reason. Shemi Matzah Zev Apostle, but Imsa Mechal is Shabbos, my friend. Hello. Ha'omar le Bereisha Uparche. Oh, by the way, here, do me a favor, Mordechai. Hang this thing up. Put it right over here, please. We got to put the mishpacha right here. And I forgot to mention, I don't know if I mentioned, this is Yehuda Shuk, and this is Dovi Fine. Fink. Dovi Fink. Got it? Shkoyach. Elo ha'omar le bereisha uparche. Yeah, you know what? Rebbe Akiva started with Rebbe Eliezer, and he said, Rebbe Eliezer, I have a great svara. What if it happens that you find that it's treif? So you over shchita for no reason. You did all these things. There's not the shchita, the preparation for the shchita. You cut off a wart for no reason. It's treif. And then he said uparche. So then if so shchita. And then comes Rebbe Akiva. So Rebbe Akiva then came with the second svara, that if you already push it off, you did shchita, so then it makes a lot of sense that you continue doing smaller averis. But to start off with small averis to get to the point, to do a large aver, that doesn't make sense. I'm not saying aver just as a lashon, but a machshiri mitzvah. Heishiv Rebbe Akiva v'omar hazot tichiach. So, go back to Daf Amud Beis in the Mishnah. Says Rebbe Akiva, let me prove it to you from Hazah. Somebody that touches a dead body, what's the halacha? Has to go through the purifications. We had it yesterday, the day before. On the third day, the seventh day, you take from the mechatos, the ashes of the paradum in the water, you sprinkle it. I even brought a picture what it looks like, that purple little guy, the Ezoiv. You go like this. Great. And he says, where is this? Oh, no. It's a big mitzvah to be ready to have a Korban Pesach. How could I can't bring a Korban Pesach if I'm a Tmei Meis. So it's a mitzvah, and it's only the Rabbanan, and it does not push off Shabbos. Says Rebbe Eliezer, you hear this in the Mishnah. Adarabba, it should push off Shabbos. It should push off Shabbos, says Rebbe Eliezer. Kavachaymer. Rebbe Akiva, Oichiluf, says Rebbe Akiva, no. Maybe it shouldn't push off. Why? My mazor shimshum shvus ein deichas Shabbos. Shchita shimshum malacha ein din shloi titchas Shabbos. Fakert. Maybe I should do a kavachoymer that shchita doesn't push off Shabbos. You hear this? What kind of kavachoymer is that? It says before in the Torah, shchita pushes off Shabbos. It annoyed Rebbe Eliezer tremendously. Tanya, on Rebbe Eliezer, Akiva, b'shchita shaftani. You just told me something that really upset me. You're telling me a pasuk in the Torah. In other words, something against the Torah. I know that you know that it's a pasuk. You're Rebbe Akiva. So why do you do it? You want to check me. You're bothering me. You know what? This is the lashon incredible. B'shchita shaftani, b'shchita tihei misasai. Your death is going to come through shchita. And in fact, Rebbe Akiva may be even worse than shchita. Masr Kosher Barzel. What's going on here? So first of all, we have to remember who Rebbe Eliezer is. Rebbe Eliezer was the Gadol Hador. Rebbe Eliezer, in the Tanur Achnoi, they put him in Cherem, Shamute. The famous story, he was right. Shemaim said that he was right. The water came towards him. He said, if I'm right, the water should stop. The walls caved in, the trees. We don't pass him by Shemaim. They put him in Cherem. He refused to take it back. Put him in Cherem until the day he died. Very, very sad story in Klall Yisrael. Who is Talmidim? All these famous Talmidim, Rebbe Akiva, Tarfon, all these guys. Fine. Gemara tells us also, we learned that Rebbe Akiva, and when they heard that Rebbe Eliezer was dying, they went to visit him. And he says, now you're coming to visit me? Chutzpah. Where were you beforehand? Why did you leave me? He was in Cherem. They had to leave him. And he said to all of them, he cursed them. He said, you should know you're not going to live out a normal, you're not going to die a normal death. And Rebbe Akiva says, Rebbe, what about me? He was wondering, like, is this curse from over here still in effect? He says, you're worse than everybody. You're going to die worse than everybody. We need to understand it. It's one of the difficult things to understand. But as I state, b'shchita tehei misasai. And the Pek Kadosh said it, and that was it. Omar Loi, Rebbe Akiva realized this is not good. He says, Atach pireini b'shas adin. Don't deny me when we're arguing here in halacha. I understand you're upset, but you can't deny a fact. Kach mikublani mimcha. I heard it from your mouth. Hazah shfusi ve'ina doichas Shabbos. Why are you pretending that you didn't say it? You yourself said it. All I'm trying to do, as the Gemara is going to say soon, is to remind them. It's incredible what happened there. I heard it from you, Rebbe. You yourself said this. How could you argue on yourself? Says the Gemara, if it's in fact true. And Rebbe Akiva is not making this up. He heard it from him. So why did Rebbe Eliezer take it back? Oh, Rebbe Eliezer, perhaps, in order to allow a person to eat truma, he got sprinkled with the hazah. He was able just to eat truma. The truma gufa lo yidach Shabbos. You cannot separate truma on Shabbos that we had earlier on. So certainly, if you can't separate truma on Shabbos, you can't make truma on Shabbos. So you can't become mukshur to make truma on Shabbos. You can't get the hazah to allow you to do that. So kivanami ki oisvei hazah the truma oisvei, and einachanami. He was talking about truma. So Rebbe Akiva spoke about truma, she mitzvah, v'hi mishum shvus. And he said, wait a minute. Truma is only, it's in order to allow a person to do truma, which is a mitzvah. And the whole list is shvus. Why is it shvus? Like Rashi said over there, I'm fixing a person's body, misakin gavra. V'usavar, hazah the Pesach, kamoisav lei. Rebbe Eliezer didn't understand what Rebbe Akiva was saying. He thought he was talking about Pesach. So he said, no, Pesach, you're allowed to do hazah. It pushes off Shabbos. Mosiv Rabba, nice try. It would be a very nice pshat, but it's not true. Because it says, Heishav Rebbe Akiva v'omar hazas t'mei meis toichiach shechal shvi shloi liyos b'Shabbos u'erev Pesach she mitzvah v'imishum shvus. We are talking about Pesach. We're not talking about Truma. We're talking about Mefurish. We're talking about Pesach. It's a mitzvah, and it's only Yisroel Rabbanon. It doesn't push off Shabbos. And on that, Rebbe Eliezer says, it does push off Shabbos. But Rebbe Eliezer told Rebbe Akiva, it doesn't. Of course, he learned this halacha about Pesach from Rebbe Eliezer. So then why is Rebbe Eliezer arguing himself? Rebbe Eliezer, Gemara, Isakrele, Rebbe Eliezer forgot what he taught him. He was old, he was sick, whatever the reason is, he forgot it. So, and Rebbe Akiva just wanted to remind him very gently. He said, hey, Rebbe, you don't know what you're talking about. You're old, you're senile. You told us fakert. No, that's not how you talk. Sovar, lav, oiracharo. It's not the ercheres to tell you, Rebbe, you made a mistake. He went very gentle. Very gentle. Rabbi Isai, I think you can learn an amazing, amazing lesson from this. Look what's going on here. Rebbe Akiva was trying to be nice. He was trying to be a Balmidas. And he's trying to tell his Rebbe in a very sweet, gentle way. And what happened? It backfired. And he got cursed to the point where his death was worse than shechita. So Allah has kama v'kama. If a person tries to be nice and he insulted somebody by doing so, he's trying to be nice, but the outcome wasn't so nice. He thought he's being nice, but his Rebbe got insulted. And that's what happens. So if a person is not trying to be nice, he's lahachas trying to be mean. Here you see how the chumrah of Beinol Mechaveira is. Even by mistake, hurting somebody by mistake, could have that effect. At the end of the day, Rebbe Kiva wanted to die al Kiddush Hashem. So maybe he was like being nice to him, Rebbe Lezer. I don't know, but that's fine. Zog the Gemara. Basic question: I don't understand. Why can't you sprinkle somebody on Shabbos? All you're doing is tiltul, meaning muktzah, you're touching, not b'rshus rabba. Tiltul, you're touching. Tidcha Shabbos mishum Pesach. So, in order so the person should be able to bring a korban Pesach, you should be able to touch a little muktzah. What's the big deal? We're very familiar with this halacha, Masel Shabbos. That's why you're not allowed to shake lulav on Yontif, on Shabbos. You're not allowed to blow shofar on Shabbos. Shema Yavireno. Here's another one. Shema Yavir Meichatos B'Rishus Harabim Daled Amos. Perhaps somebody will carry in Rishus Harabim if we allow it. Rebbe Lezer Niabre. What's the big deal? Doma Rebbe Lezer Machshiri Mitzvah Dechnas Shabbos. You're allowed to be over a da'iraisa for Mila, the famous Rebbe Lezer, the Perek Rebbe Lezer in Masech Shabbos that talks. That's the name of the Perek that talks about Mila. And it says over there that according to Rebbe Lezer, I'm allowed to make a knife, I'm allowed to make metal, to make a knife, or burn, the whole thing, in order to get to the point of bris milah. So I'm allowed to do everything to prepare, even Issa Deraisa. Amri, Hana Milecho, says the Gemara, Lom Deshateretz. Hana Milecho, the Gavri Gufei Chazi, when the person is ready and able, and he has a chiyuv to do it, then I could do all these isurim. Aval Hacha, the Gavri Gufei Loi Chazi, this person is not in the parsha yet. He's not there. He's tamei. So you want to bring a person that's tamei and make him available to this mitzvah? No. If a person is available, you have a baby who's able to have a bris milah, you just don't have a knife, so go ahead and make the knife. But the person is there. Over here you have a person that's not kosher for Pesach. You want to do all these things to make him kosher for Pesach. That's not good. Omer Rabba, and therefore, remember the famous hot water that makes a person strong. So according to Rebbe Lezer, if the kid is strong, in other words, he's a roy for Mila, you heat up the water. In order to make him stronger and perform the bris milah. Because at the end of the day, he's there. But if he's sick, so he's not in the parish at all, he's like a person that's tamei. You don't heat up the water on Shabbos. Not true. If he's healthy, you don't need hot water. So, in other words, okay, so why are you heating up the water? If he's sick, he's not in the parsha. If he's healthy, you don't need it. You're right. You can never, according to Rebbe Lezer, can never heat up hot water. Because when it comes to bris milah, even a healthy baby needs it. So he's not in the parsha. So what do? You make sure the water is hot before Shabbos. But if you don't have hot water, you cannot go ahead and heat up the water. Ask them, back on this Lomda Shateris that we said. The nafkamina, if a person is in the parsha or not in the parsha. If the person is there, he could perform the korban Pesach. You just need to get him there somehow. Fine. So I could be Mechal Shabbos. But he's not even tar. So to make him tar, in order that he should be chayiv in a korban Pesach, that we don't say. Oral Shalimal Onush Kares. It says in the Braisa that a person who's a gadol and he doesn't have a bris milah, he's chayiv kares. Why is he chayiv kares? So if you just read the Gemara, you think he's chayiv kares. Cause why? Levi, you just read the Gemara. Why? I thought you'd say that. Says Levi because he doesn't have a milah. No, that's not the pshat. Because of korban Pesach. Very good. Because of the korban Pesach. So here's a guy that doesn't have a milah, but he could get a milah. Why? Because he should get a milah in order for him to get to bring a korban pesach. You hear Abay's chap already? But he doesn't have. He's not chayiv in a korban pesach because he doesn't have a milah. Right. Misagi Nafshi. Very good. Alma, what do you see from this? Here you have a guy. He doesn't have a bris milah, so he's not chayiv in korban pesach because he doesn't have a bris milah. You want him to get a bris milah, so in order for him to be chayiv. So in other words, you have to take the step before. You have to bring him into a matzav to become tar. You let him Michal Shabbos. Here you give him kares because he doesn't do it. So maybe he should be Michal Shabbos in order for him to become tar, in order to be chayiv to bring a korban pesach. Omerabo, yeah. So one more time. You have a guy who's tamei. We said you shouldn't be Michal Shabbos on him, in order for him to be tar, in order for him to bring a korban pesach. Well, you have a guy who doesn't have bris milah. A guy that Arel says in the pasuk before, Arel doesn't bring a korban pesach. But you want him to get a bris milah. Go ahead, take the steps so you be chayiv, and then if you don't, I'm going to give you kares now for not putting yourself in that position to get the korban pesach. So put yourself in the position to be tar, so you can bring the korban. Why are they different? Amar Rabba, listen to this teretz. Amazing go'aynish teretz here. Very deep, and it's a 3-step cheshbon. Amar Rabba, Kosav Rabbi Eliezer, ein shoichatim v'zorkim al tmei sheretz. We're going to see. It's a shaila. Yes or no? Person who's at the final day of his 7-day tumah, or a person who touched a sheretz. He touched a lizard. And now all he has to do is go to the mikveh that day, and at night he's a hair of shemesh, he's already tar. No. Ein shoichtim v'zorkim al tmei sheretz. You don't shech the korban pesach with this guy, or the guy that's on his 7th last day. Let him wait till Pesach Sheni. We just turned, sponsored by Kesher Nafshi, Zchus for the struggling kids in pain of Klall Yisrael. And for Refuah Shelayma, for all Cholei Yisrael, especially from our MDY family, please consider joining the MDY Tehillim group at tehillim.8mindaf.com. Both tzaddikim who spent $1,000 for these things. Unbelievable. So, let me see where it is. Okay. We have a 3-step cheshbon. It goes like this. If a person touches the sheretz, he has to go be pushed off to Pesach Sheni. You don't do the tar on him. If that's the case, that a yachid gets pushed off to Pesach Sheni, that means to us that a tzibur has to do Pesach Rishon. Whatever a yachid does in Pesach Sheni, the tzibur must do a Pesach Rishon. And it sounds like. And if that's the case, if the tzibur does it on Pesach Rishon without purifying themselves, without becoming tahar, then the yachid also does not make himself tar. These are the rules. So how does it go? So memela what? And if that's the case, you don't have a kasha from mila to tahara. They're very different. Anything that a yachid gets pushed off to Pesach Sheni, step 1, that means that the tzibur must do it when they are tamei in Pesach Rishon. And whatever exactly is by the tzibur happens by the yachid. So just like the tzibur did not do the tahara, so mela the yachid doesn't have to do tahara. Now, let's just stop here for a second. Rashi points out. But what if I said the reverse? What if I said that if you touch your tummy sheretz, you don't get pushed off to Pesach Sheni. You got to do it right then and there. What would happen to the tzibur? Tzibur would have to do Pesach Rishon with tahara. That's the difference. With tahara, then he has to do it with tahara. Step 3. Because whatever the tzibur does, he has to do. Then he would have to do tahara. And then the question would remain, if so, let it push off, let it be doicha that we just asked. It should be Doicha Shabbos. Okay, that's the cheshbon. It only works if we say the Tamei Sheretz has to be pushed off the Sheni, the Pesach Sheni. Therefore, the Tzibur does it on the Rishon without Tahara, and therefore the Yachid does it without Tahara. You hear the Chayv? Beautiful. I don't think it's possible to come up with such a answer on our own. It's impossible. This is a Go'oinisha Cheshbon de Keteret. Says the Gemara. V'chol milsa de lesa b'tzibur lesa b'yachid. Arelos di kula tzibur arelim ninu. If it happens that the whole Klall Yisrael don't have a bris milah, what do we say? Amrilu kumu ma'ilun av shaychu v'avid pischa. Everybody go get a bris milah and let's go. That's what Moshe Rabbeinu said on the first Pesach. Remember that whole vart? It smelled like Gan Eden, literally like Gan Eden. Klall Yisrael wanted it. So he said, "Oh, you want it? You can come get it, but first you have to get a bris milah." So v'avid pischa. V'ilay ma'al v'avid onish kares. And therefore we tell this guy, this individual, go do this bris milah, and if you don't, you get kares for not bringing the carbon Pesach. However, Tuma, the Yikula Tzibura Tmeim Ninu, the Yikula Tzibura, what did I skip? I think I said it. Yochanami Amrilei Kuma Hoil Vavid Bizcha. Vilay Mal Vavid, Onish Kares. Tuma, the Yikula Tzibura Tmeim Ninu, Loy Medina Nalayu. But if the whole Tzibur, let's say, the Tamei, we don't tell them, Tmei Meis, we don't say go, Tmei Meis, Tmei Sheretz, but you don't say go sprinkle for Tmei Meis, Ela Avdi B'Tuma. Why? Because the Yachid gets pushed off to Pesach Sheni. So then the Tzibur has to do it on Pesach Rishon without the Tahara. Yachinami Potter, and if the Tzibur does it without Tahara, then the Yachid also does it without Tahara. And that's why it doesn't push off Shabbos. That's why it doesn't push off Shabbos, and Arelos does push off Shabbos. I understand. If you don't get it, it's fine. That's what Daf Yomi is all about. We go weiter. If you didn't catch this, you catch the next thing. It's all good. Next cycle, you'll get it. Amalei Shani Hasam. Where are? Amalei Ravuna Breder Yisroel Rava. Vari Pesach Sheni. Something's wrong with what you're telling me here. Vari Pesach Sheni. The less of Tzibur vis v'yachid. This rule doesn't make sense. Pesach Sheni. Nobody. The Tzibur never does Pesach Sheni. Vis v'yachid. You tell me whatever the Tzibur doesn't do, the Yachid, Pesach Sheni, the Tzibur doesn't do. No, it's only because they already did it in the first Pesach. Meisvei. The pasuk says, if a person is not tar, or if a person is on his way, what does he do? Pesach Sheni. So the Gemara asks, the Bryce asks specifically, how do you know a Tamei Sheretz? Or all these Tmeim that have Erev Shemesh that night, how do you know they can become tar? Tamad Loimar Viha Ish. Says the Gemara Cheshbon like this. Another Cheshbon. From the fact that we're looking for a source for this person that touched the Sheretz, it's obvious that we're sticking with your rule. This rule. The rule number one, a Tmei Sheretz, somebody that touches Sheretz, he has to be pushed off to Pesach Sheni. Not like the other tzad, like rule one in this tzad, that Tmei Sheretz would have to do it on Pesach Rishon. No, we're holding that we don't push off. We're not Doicha Shabbos, we don't check for him, we don't do anything for him, let him go to Pesach Sheni. Okay. Because if in fact you could check for Tmei Sheretz, so why are we looking for a source? Hanu tar. This Tmei Sheretz guy is exactly like a person that's completely tar. Why? He could bring it. What's the problem? Let him bring it. Let him send the shliach. It's not a problem. Alma. So what do we see? He cannot bring it. If he can't bring it, Alma avagav deloy chazi chiyuv alei. He has the oynish kares. Why? Because he could be mitar himself. So what do you see? You see that he's mechuyev to be mitar himself. So this is checkmate. At the end of the day, I don't have an answer for this, says the Gemara. You see, here's the situation. You don't have it with the tzibur. You do have this with the yachid. Let him be mitar himself. If he's not mitar himself, he gets kares. So then if so, if he has to be mitayr himself, he must be mitayr himself, then the chazr kushel duchta. Then the original question remains, why, according to Rabbah, can't he be doicha Shabbos doing these things? If he's not doicha Shabbos, he'll get kares. He has to do it. Elo amarava anupshat. Now we're taking it back. We're not going with this. We are going with this guy. That atmei sheretz, you do shecht. He could be tahar. You could do it on Pesach Rishon. Over here, the Gemara sticks it in. A Tmei Sheretz and somebody that touches a body and he's on the seventh day are identical. They're both in the final stretch. All they have to do is go to the mikveh during the day and they wait until Shkia, until Harav Shemesh, until the sun goes down, then they become tar. Says Rav, amazing. You know why I'm not going to push off Shabbos for your hazah, your sprinkling? What good is sprinkling? What does it do? What does it accomplish? It accomplishes that I could eat my Korban Pesach. Now we said Korban Pesach is very, very super important to eat it. Very important. It's like the biggest thing of Korban Pesach. That's the kapara, really. But it's not ma'akiv. My chiyuv is to bring a Korban Pesach. To eat it is very important. Eating is very important. But if I don't eat, I'm still yotzei. So for me to do something that it's not ma'akiv, to get the hazaz, so to enable me to eat it, that's not, for that I'm not going to be doicha Shabbos. Givaldik. Hazal l'mai la'achila. Achila p'sachim le'ma'akva. Omle Rav Adaber Abba l'Rava. Imkei nimsa Pesach nishchat shlei la'ichlav. Remember we had, if people don't have teeth, you can't shech the Korban Pesach for them. So over here, you have people that can't physically eat. Why can't they eat? They didn't go to the mikveh. But they went to the mikveh. It's not Harav Shemesh yet. These people that touch the sheretz or the seventh day of the, they can't eat. So isn't that like a person that doesn't have teeth? No. You're talking about people that physically cannot chew. They don't have teeth. They're very weak. They're lechazi. They're not in the parsha at all. This person could eat. He just has a technical difficulty. He's not there yet. He's locked up in a room. He's in a room of tumah. He can't get out until the night. Zok the Gemara, Klall Omer Rabbi Kiva, Omer Rabbi Yudah, Omer Rabbi Alochik, Rabbi Kiva. That what? Anything that you could do before Shabbos, you must do before Shabbos. If you could have done it before Shabbos, you were too lazy, whatever happened, you forgot, too bad. You can't do it on Shabbos. And that's the halacha. With Nanam Gabi Mila, we had the same exact halacha by Bris Mila. Klall Omer Rabbi Kiva. By the way, before I forget, Shir, Motzi Shabbos, I think 8:15. I think. Let's do for 8:15. If there's any changes, we'll discuss. I had a beautiful Pshat. You know what? I'm going to say this Pshat now instead of Rebbe Kiva. We'll say this on Motzei Shabbos. I want to say this Pshat. It's very, very negeh. For Shabbos, it's a beautiful thing that you can bring over to your family. I think I didn't review it, so I hope I say it the right way. I got this from two people yesterday, so it's kedai to say. Rabbi Yisachar Fran brings from the Talmud Rebbe. Beautiful. He asks 4 major kashas on Miriam and Aviyah. And she says, Sus v'roich v'roma v'yam. From all the shira, that's what she had to say. He has 4 big kashas over there. Not going to go into them because we only have 10 seconds. Says the Talmud Rebbe. You know what Miriam was saying here? She was saying that the women were tinying, and he's saying this is a piruch hakodesh she had. He's saying we want to be equals. We want to be like the men. Let's go. Let's say shira like the men. And she told them, everybody has their tafkid and role in life. And then she threw out the pasuk, Sus v'roich v'roma v'yam. What did the horses do, Rebbeinu Shalom? Why is it their fault? Why do they deserve to die? You know why they deserve to die? Because they were partners with the Mitzrim. When you're there and you're the partner, and he talks about Daf Yomi, Rabbi Yisachar Fran, he says, you're the wife, and you enable your husband to go learn Daf Yomi, then you are equal with your husband. That's your maila, the equal of the husband. And I say that this applies to anybody that's the catalyst behind somebody else's learning Torah. You go and you encourage your friend to join a daf. You encourage your friend. He has a chavrusa, you say, but let's learn every day. He doesn't have a chavrusa, he's not learning a Jewish word since he left Klall, and you encourage him to learn the daf. Sus v'roich v'roma v'yam. You are equal with him. You are on the same playing field with him. You are his partner in that thing. Have a wonderful Shabbos. I'll see you Motzei Shabbos. We'll take it from here. Klall Omer Bakiva. A gute Shalom. Shema Elois Me'amakim Kosicha Adinoi. Adonai Shema B'Koili. Mamre Shmoya Adonai Mi Amoy. Kimcha Slicha. Lamati V'Koili. It's an example of what Cholti. Nafshi Adonai. Mishumrim LaBay Kesher. Rabbi say Tehillim, I see Yisroel Halpern on Zoom right now. He had a triple bypass yesterday. Rabbi say Tehillim for him. Say Achinik of Yisroel and Sibus of Yeshivio. Hoim dem bein bayom u bein bayabasha. Amokim rachem aleim. Yitzim l'tzon levacha. B'feila b'shul gul. Hashto bagalov is man karev in Amen. I can't believe what I'm seeing here. Rabbi say this is tremendous chizuk. A guy just had triple, not double, triple bypass surgery. I saw him right before the shir yesterday. I saw him on the shir yesterday, and I see him today. Incredible, tremendous chizuk. You should have a Refuah Shelayma b'karev. I want to see you here in MDY b'karev mamish Rabbi Yisroel. Have a Refuah Shelayma. Yisroel Meir ben Devara. Unbelievable. Wow. Chaim, you got to see this. You got to see this guy. It's unbelievable. It's incredible. Thank you. You don't understand the chizuk. The chizuk you just gave me, you gave the whole Olam. Michael Cohen, Shalom Aleichem, Amokim Yenachem Eschem, B'Sog Shav V'Letzir Yerushalayim. Now you see your beautiful face. Yishkoyach. You got to take a Kabbalah, Michael. Not going to miss a day. Going to do this for the whole year. I promise you, it gives your father a much bigger aliyah than all the Kadeshim you're going to say. All the davening b'tzibur. One dav Gemara, 1 hour of Gemara, there's nothing like it. All right.
Eli, I'm sorry you won't be able to make the wedding.
I don't know. The sky's still open. We don't know. It's crazy. 1 o'clock in the morning, my wife is, should I pack or should I not pack? I said, don't pack. Don't worry about it. That's not the problem. The problem is not getting there. The problem is coming back. If you say this word over, it won't be good? Come on. Hello, he brings that. The Gemara says it. The Gemara says they're horses. And Reb Selch's friend, you compare me to a horse? He mamish has that question. You got to see this Vartor, it's beautiful. I don't remember. The Gemara says it. No, it's the beauty. The horse is a partner. What could a Mitzri do? A Mitzri could get a catch up. She's the F-16 and he's the pilot. F-35. F-35.
No, the man is the horse, and you're the one who's the chinuch. You're the rider. We're the horse. We make the parnasa. You're the rider. You do the chinuch.
Deep down. It's why did I say?
Deep down, it's emes. Of course, it's emes.
No, deep down. You see these women. They struggle. They want to be equals. He says. Right now they allow women in the combat unit in the U.S. Army. It's shtusim. Hello, all these women pilots. They never let them fly in combat. They practice and spend billions of dollars on them, so they could say they have women in the air. They never let them fly once in combat, because if they get knocked down or whatever it is, whatever the reason is. What?
Here in Israel, they do fly missions.
Women fly missions?
There's no reason why
They have women in the Air Force there?
Of course.
They don't have smart in there.
You know the problem? Tanks. Tanks are the problem. The Air Force, they let them. No problem. The tanks are the problem. That's the
The who?
In tanks,
Yeah.
you got a problem. You got 4 guys in a tank.
It's not it's the physical ability
They don't have
to take those G's, 6 G's. It's physical. You have to be very strong. So they take strong women. You have to be very quick. You have to be. Look, there's something called Danica Patrick. There's a woman called Danica Patrick. She's a better racer. Danica Patrick is a better car racer, and it's physical than a lot of men. Now, why not? They can't play football. They can't play basketball like men.
This thing can do.
Okay, this thing.
No, but a tank they can't do.
F-16 is harder than being a basketball player. I guarantee you.
This guy was saying, listen, if they want to be in the tanks so much, I say let them be in the tanks. How many people want to be ready? 10? Let them be. If they want to ruin their bodies, Vakasha, go for it. You know?
They do. They want. They don't care about ruining the body. They care.
All the tests. No, because almost none of them can pass the test. That's the thing. I remember hearing Marines. I heard these lady Marines on the radio. I heard myself, and she said, they hate us. The Marines hate us. They hate us because we can't do it.
Who's that? I didn't hear the name. There's a lot of noise going on. Who?
We can't get over the wall. She was mine. I heard her on the radio. I heard myself.
Yankee from Manchester. Yeah.
Tell Israelis who tell me what. I said they can't do it. Catholics, they can't do it. You want to hurt the army? Sorry. You want to hurt the army?
I don't see. My screen is very, very schwach. If I go like this, look what happens. Yeah, if I go like this, I can see. Where's Yankee? See Yankee?
Hi, everybody.
Hi. Oh, here, Yankee. I see you. Beautiful. No.
Keep it up, Yankee.
If I can, if I'm no.
So much more addictive than YouTube, no?
Yes, definitely.
I lose cable. If I could get like a little device that goes like this, like a little rubber thing. They have these things that go. No, and then once, what happens is you get used to it. It's like a mutation. Once that works, it goes somewhere else. You have to push. Good Shabbos, Mr. Feinberg. What's your first name? Eliezer. Mando likes you. He's your friend, Mando. You know that? You want to come see Mando again? What are we doing?
You tell me. Let's go. What are we doing?
We got to get... Oh, where's Noam? Is Noam? Noam. Should I bring Noam here? I had Noam and... Oh, I have an idea. Why don't you take me right now? So then I could go daven. It's for a short clip. People, we're talking about the first day of our share. First day that you weren't there. The part of jumping into it. You have an idea?